Welcome. Welcome, everyone. If you're live, it's Saturday, 12 noon on the button. Kind of an unusual time for doing a live, but that's okay. And a little bit of a reason behind that. Hopefully, this time I'll get it right on my StreamYard, showing a PowerPoint presentation of some scale and offering it, of course, to those that are watching. So I'm sorry, yesterday you heard me talk. I thought the PowerPoint was there, and it was just me talking. Some of you are very visual, and a presentation in a PowerPoint. I also adapted it a little bit, and hopefully I could bring some life to it today. Use AI to create massive operational and actual advantages in your family office. If you're an entrepreneur, you're a company, if you're a multifamily office, really anyone in knowledge work, you're going to get value out of it. So I really, really hope whether you're live today or whether you're watching it on replay, that you have a chance to enjoy it. And I'm telling you, I've been traveling the world, giving variations of this presentation, being interactive with the audience, and I'm still surprised the family offices are, for reasons that will be discussed in this PowerPoint, a little bit reluctant. You're making a huge, huge mistake. In the end, it may take some time, but in the end, tech always, always wins. And I want you to be on the right side. And if you're an executive in a family office or really anywhere, I want you to be successful and maximize your output, producing outcomes like never before, make as much money and be employed. So now we're going to see if it actually works. I would appreciate if in the chat feature here, and maybe text me 203-570-2898, that yes, Angelo, I could see the PowerPoint, so I kind of don't waste an hour like I did yesterday. Here we go. Let's give it a chance. And let me know, how is that working for many of you? You better let me know that it's working and you can see it. And then I'm going to kind of rock and roll and get started. It'll be about 1 hour, and I am going to give you a lot of information. And there's so much that is new really in the last 30 days, and it's game-changing, going to involve Jamie Dimon and so many others. So again, I'm waiting for that note that, Angelo, I could see the PowerPoint. So I'm going to kind of cross my fingers, hope this works. And without further ado, I'm already taking too long. I think we shall begin. So again, use AI to create massive operational advantages. I do mean massive for your family office. Your family office, if you're not doing this by the utmost standards, is kind of obsolete. And I'm going to kind of show you the brutal math of what happens when you don't rebuild, maybe a strong word, but rebuild now. So everyone, I'm Angelo Robles. I'm at Family Office on YouTube and X. My members of my community, that's SFO Continuity, welcome, and please reach out to me anytime. And we have so much to discuss and so many opportunities heading into really the spring into the early summer. I think you're really going to enjoy it. So without further ado, let's begin. This is a baby. 4 years. I mean, come on, November of 2022, really 3.5 years. I'm being generous calling it 4 years. 4 years old, and that is it. That ChatGPT, November of 2022, jumped into the scene. Look how much market share, broad knowledge, very weak broad knowledge, but broad knowledge by broadly many around the world. And look how it's gone from simply chat, which like none of you know how to do right, to actually doing things. And we're going to talk about all of that. And I'm going to give you some tips to do the chat better. All of that today. And by the way, if you like what you see in the PowerPoint, what I could do, there's an online link. You have to DM or email me. DM on probably LinkedIn's the most efficient, but X would do. or text me if you want, or email me at angelo@angelorobles.com. And you simply, without further ado, very simply will get a link to the 59 slides in the presentation. And this is the most updated version. I want that to sink in, though, about the 4 years. This is so new and it advanced so far, especially in the last couple of months. So in 2022, as I noted, it talked, you chatted. In 2026, with little fanfare, and if I could do it, you could do it, it actually executes. So just imagine exponentially 4 years out from today, it's going to be unrecognizable. But the mindset you develop by jumping into this now and how your knowledge compounds, that's the key, will give you an edge that if you jump into it now, only a very, very few gifted people will be able to catch up with you. You will have an insurmountable advantage as an entrepreneur, a college kid coming out of college, a principal, a rising gen, an executive in a family office, or someone in knowledge work, finance, legal, and accounting that services the ultra high net worth and family office community. And yet probably at most 1% of you, whether you're watching live or in a recording, are really going to give this any sort of attention or taking some actions. But that 1%, if you take the actions and you're resilient, will give you an absolute edge that to me is going to be for 99% of the people be insurmountable. And would please someone send me a text and let me know that this is working? 203-570-2898. So here's a harsh statement, but let's not beat around the bush. If you're only behind a keyboard, you're replaceable. Kind of now. Imagine 6 months by the end of this year, next year, the year after. If what you do is solely knowledge work, maybe you're the top 1% at what you do. You are an incredible trader. You're the best global tax strategist. You're incredible at certain legal strategies. Yeah, you have an edge. And even then, AI is going to make you do things simply better with less resources faster. Period. Effectively, you could do more with less, better, and faster. And one day, I don't know if that's later this year, next year, the year after, but not that far in the future, you won't be able to keep up from strictly, if your work is pattern recognition, pure historical knowledge, you won't win. The IQ testing of what's happening now with AIs, and that's a little bit linear in terms of testing of raw intelligence, but it's darn important. Let's not beat around the bush. What's it about? 140? Einstein was 160. Like, it's going to blow by that sooner rather than later. Actually, when we all get access to the mythical Anthropic's Claude mythos, some pronounce it mythos, that once it gets past a little bit of, hate to say it, but governmental approval, and really the stamp of approval from the 40 companies that got early testing because of major cyber concerns, I'm not sure that is not it right there. AI will never be worse than it is today. Do you clearly understand that? So, like I said, we're using tools that are the worst they will ever be. In the last 30 days, we're going to get to Claude managed agents and their 10 Wall Street buster finance agents. This is all like 30 days old. It's incredible. We just heard about Mythos maybe 40 to 45 days ago, and one day we're going to have access to it sooner rather than later. And then OpenAI and others are going to have competitive products that are going to be right up there. So the playbook that many of us learned in college and have followed, that doesn't mean that it didn't serve a purpose, and it taught us a sense of operational excellence and goal setting. I'm not saying it's dead, although, maybe I am saying it's dead. It needs to be revamped. Your allocation models, your decision timelines, reporting cadence, none of it was designed for what is coming next. It's A world that was, not a world that is, and definitely not a world that will be. It's not like AI is just coming for one thing. The reality is it seems to be shaping like all industries. As Mark Andreessen said, it's going to be horizontal in everything, everything. Just some things will be more impacted. We could debate in a beneficial way immediately right now and in the more immediate future. Some of the robotics and things like that are going to take some time to play out, but I'm getting a feeling that's all going to happen sooner rather than later. I mean, we're talking about right now capital flows, decision cycles, market pace, due diligence, reporting, all resources that you have now as an investor and family office that could simply be done. You could do more of it better and faster than ever before, and that's not going to flow back. I am going to check my text just to see. No, I still don't have confirmation. I sure hope this is working. Otherwise, I'm going to have to make it even better and do it again later or tomorrow. Okay, what's getting in the way? And again, let's just be blunt. I don't care if it hurts feelings. Inherent human resistance, arrogance, ego, fear. I'll throw another one in that's not up on there. Ignorance. These are things that will cost a family office, entrepreneur, anyone, more than any bad decision or deal ever could. Think about it. You're maybe at a certain age, you were trained a certain way, how the world worked pretty good for you. We're human beings. Of course, you're going to develop likely a sense of arrogance and ego. And that is going to get in your way, which is why people like that often make bad, quote unquote, poker players. Please be careful. If you had to walk away from this with one thing, kudos to what may be your past successes. We're in a very different world now. You need humility to realize the resources at your fingertips could amplify your, of course, incredible capabilities. Don't be fearful of that. Don't let ego get in the way. Those are all things that are going to cost you far, far more. So I'm going to tell a little story. I was out at the Milken conference, about a week and a half ago in LA. Incredible. I hosted some lunches and parties, but let's not get too distracted. So I met someone probably early 70s, a really powerful player, a woman in the world of finance, and said, Angelo, I heard your presentation. I gave some presentations on integrations of AI in family offices. And she was like, I'm not going to mention the names. You could probably put it together. Two over 80-year-old Deca billionaire private equity New York legends, period, going back again, 40 plus years. They use AIs, LLMs, etc., 2+ hours a day. They don't need another advantage. They're likely worth, $20 billion each? And that's the whole point. The people who least need an edge are the ones taking it most seriously. Isn't that the tell? They're already decabillionaires. They're in their 80s. They're fine. They probably don't want the world to change. It worked pretty good for them. But they're thinking about their children, their grandchildren, and even more maybe from a human perspective in our country and around the world, and just seeing the realities and them embracing it also intellectually. What did I say earlier about mindset and about compounding? Two very, very important reasons why you want to actually start today. It's a beautiful day where I am. I am going to go outside, get some exercise, walk, maybe do a little bit of a routine, but it's a competitive world out there. Maybe for some of you, this is the wake-up call. I don't care if it's a Saturday. This is the opportunity for you to begin. You need to take that first step forward. Remember what I said about that story that I just told. The people who least need an edge are the ones taking it more seriously. So imagine you're a principal. And I use the word principal somewhat interchangeably in the family office world. It could be a senior executive, a family member. So give me a little bit of leeway on the term principal. Principal, 50 years old, running a sophisticated operation, even broadly as an entrepreneur. you still likely have decades of consequential decisions ahead. And what, like you're not doing this yet? What did I say about mindset and compounding? You have to answer the question that would have your future forward highest performing, which is why best practices could be misleading. If you believe in best practices, they have some value. They're not as good as first principles thinking. At least benchmark in best practice to incredible excellence. But how do you define that? But I don't know. The two 80-year-old peers worth deca billions of dollars, they're doing it. And this goes again back to some of the things that I mentioned earlier. And you have to let these psychological things stop being a barrier to you. So about that same time, a lot of things happened when I was in LA at Milken. Jamie Dimon, JP Morgan, hit the stage with Dario Modi, the CEO of Anthropic. And they were sharing the stage, highlighting, of course, the massive potential in AI and finance. And Jamie Dimon shared a personal experience using Claude Code to build a financial dashboard in what, like 20 minutes? Now, let's understand this. I'm a 60-year-old male. I am not inherently tech savvy at all. Apparently, I don't know how to properly work a PowerPoint in my online platforms. 6 months ago, that's forever in AI, when it was a little hard with not 1 minute of engineering help, I vibe coded and created my own app, and pretty complex. I got it up on the App Store. But you or others, you're likely not looking to do that. You want an app to replace something that for you brings it more internal, more private, more customized, and also could save you a lot of money off external SaaS and programs that you may be using. Jamie Dimon's older than me. He's the least person that needs it. And yet again, like I said about the two private equity legends, yet he's the one doing it. Now, Anthropic on stage, we're going to get to a little bit more of this later. And this is really going to bring the AI from chat to doing things for you. And I actually think many of you, by the end of today, like that's how quick this could happen. You could actually be doing this, just like Jamie Dimon. Anthropic unveiled 10 purpose-built AI agents for financial services. You don't have to set these up effectively. They're pre-built in Anthropic Claude, depending on the level that you're at and your understanding how to access and usage. It really isn't that hard. Imagine a pitch builder, earnings reviewer, model builder, valuation reviewer, month-end closer, statement auditor, even KYC screener. It's incredible. We're going to get to that very, very shortly. Interesting, on stage at the same time with Jamie in New York City, effectively Wall Street, because I could make the argument that this is a Wall Street buster. This is going to change things. I was listening to the All In podcast, David Sachs, who he might have been a little tongue-in-cheek. I'm a huge fan of the complete suite of Anthropic, and we're going to get to some of the frontier models, all of that. I'm not going to leave you hanging. We're going to give you a lot of information. He basically said, and again, I know he's had some back and forths with Dario, like in a couple of years, he's not so sure that there may not be a Mag 1 and it's going to be Anthropic. Like they're that good. That good. Okay, so I mentioned Anthropic launched the 10 AI agents for financial services. And this absolutely, yeah, it's augmenting from the world of finance. It absolutely, a little longer term, is going to be a threat for those that don't adapt. You could really build these and deploy these, well, even less than days, like I say there, much sooner than if you were building this from scratch internally. But we're going to get to Sovereign and other things soon. But how the Anthropic suite of products that are effectively pre-built, how they could run inside your Excel, PowerPoint, Word, and Outlook. These are tools your team is already using. This is going to be like using them on steroids times 10. There's incredible resources at your fingertips. Okay, I'm a little bit of hyperbole here. You have multiple Einsteins on call, and you're using them, 99% of you, to like effectively draft emails. You're kidding me. Now, don't forget, Einstein, as brilliant as he slept 10 hours a day. These AI agents, they can work 168 hours a week. They have more broad knowledge and capabilities around more vast things than Einstein had. Are they going to be as maybe creative in the moment and on scientific and physics? I'm going to say no. But how long is that edge going to last? 6 months, a year? I mentioned that earlier, maybe a couple of years. So you do have a variation of multiple Einsteins at your beck and call effectively 24/7, and you're not using it. I'm going to show a slide soon that says you're basically vast majority of you using like 10% of AI's capability. I'm being so generous on the 10% of the capabilities. And again, look at that again. You're using them to draft emails. I said AI will never be weaker than it is today. What you need to become in the world of the family office, or really any field that you're in, how about the most aggressive user of AI in your field? That is how you survive for a time. I actually think thrive in an AI world. You name me a function that you need to put knowledge work in that's family office or kind of finance centric, that especially is based behind you looking at a screen, and like what is not being impacted and debatably just simply going to do better depending on what the service is, because you're not going to be able to work the 168 hours a week. So things like workflows, certain decisions, reporting, admin, due diligence, deal support, comms ops. We're going to get to some case studies earlier. My God, I'm giving you so much in this hour. Like, I'm really having a hard time not seeing anyone, no matter how good you are, that won't be augmented and put more time and effort into what's more valuable and exciting to you by doing this. And honestly, others are just simply going to be steamrolled. Skills have utility. Utility you convert into productive economic value for yourself and your family. I want you to thrive. I want you to succeed. You hoping this goes away is not going to make that happen. Again, in the end, although it could be slowed down, the tech always wins. Don't let that arrogance and fear get in your way. Learn how to master it and use it. I don't know what that world may look like in 10 or 15 years. I do know you are viable. You are an entrepreneur and someone who's talented, and you do understand the AI, and mastering it is going to be the way for you to be far more successful in the years to come. It doesn't just give you an edge, like the screen says, it kind of gives you a moat. You may have operational and utility advantages so large, moving so quickly, that catching up becomes a problem for any of your competitors and even peers, a challenge for them to solve. But you have to, I said, mindset and compounding have to start right now. Early movers, I'm hitting this one hard, are compounding advantages every day, let alone every quarter. In 18 months, the gap between being AI native and AI native family offices and everyone else, for some, maybe not for all, will become permanent. The industry, the family office community is changing rapidly. You'll be surprised, those 80-year-olds that I mentioned earlier, they're going to want a more AI native family office. The rising generation, the people, even like my son coming out of college with a master's degree, that are fluid in AI. Like, you think that your experiences, which sometimes could be a detriment to you, and like, you think that's the edge and that is going to last forever and forever. It's just not. So on a bigger societal perspective, 3 shifts, I say family offices, really broadly anyone, is not prepared for. Digital employees, the agents, AI agents, the AI that acts. They don't clock out, they don't quit, and they kind of, well, I say here they don't need managing. It's not quite true. They need a level of orchestration, but that's all getting better and better. Humanoids, physical AI and operations, logistics, and for larger or real estate centric family office, maybe properties, I think are going to come sooner than you think. And maybe listen to my podcast a couple of days ago with Bill Barheit, CEO of Abra. That was an interesting hour and 10 minutes or so. And we talk about tokenized finance that I note here on screen. Every asset, every transaction, every settlement on chain, no intermediaries. We spoke, and I'm experimenting internally with AI agents that I give them some access to capital and resources segregated and actively trading. And man, this is early stage. By the end of this year into next year, and what we're seeing in stable coins broadly in crypto, like, I just don't want you to be left behind. Like, these are all the things that I just don't see people in the family office world who are actual principals, who actually have a holding company and a family office, who are doing this, spending the money on hardware, mastering the frontier, using open weight models, creating agents. And trust me, I make my share of mistakes, and I find a lot of this, it sometimes has been frustrating. I'm not saying it's easy, but at least for my members who get access to my books and my master classes, an incredible faculty, we wickedly condensed the capability. It took me hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours. You know, I am not kidding. Where if you were to say, Angelo, it's 12:30 now, by midnight, I could take my knowledge to another level. You could. By the end of this weekend, by becoming a member, getting my AI-centric books, one-on-ones with me, leading up to my June 23rd and 24th masterclass in person in New York with the greatest instructors in the world and incredible peers, coupled with the lead into that and the post that, by July 4th, you may be 100x what you are now. I'm not exaggerating. Depending on where you are now, your intellect, what you take in, the effort you put out, it could be that exponential. And we're barely into the summer. I mean, just think 5 years ago, this was all kind of unimaginable. AI capabilities discussed today were inaccessible to any family office. They weren't there till about 3.5 years ago. So it democratized technology, brings more equal access and resources. You may be an entrepreneur, a high net worth individual, a sub-billion-dollar family office. You kind of have the same resources. You're probably moving quicker, but don't be surprised. Some of the Rockefellers and the iconic brands around the world, the Pritzkers and major sovereign grade family offices, I know they reach out, they join me, and I'm consulting to some of them, are actively integrating AI, probably more than you actually think, but there's no edge, nothing specific that they have access to that you don't. You may even just have a couple of thousand to your name. If you have the right hardware and you subscribe to the right frontiers, you have incredible frontier models in AI, incredible resources right at your fingertips. I promised I would come to this slide. Again, I'm making the assumption that you all could see this. No one, none of you had a courtesy yet. What's wrong with you? To text me at 203-570-2898 so I can make sure that you're seeing the slides. And again, all you have to do, whether it's a text, whether it's a DM, or whether it's an email, is say, hey, Angelo, I don't even care if you say it sucked today. Just, can I have, the online version of the slides? Of course. Poof, you get it. So it says here 10%. That's how much of AI, I'm being so generous, your family office is actually using. The other 90%, I mean, it's not just waiting for you to catch up. So that other 90%, poof, there it is, the 90% gap. I don't know. It basically is learning how to properly prompt and chat with AI and use the agents and have investment memos, earnings comps, diligence material, finance models, company profiles, minutes, not days. The platforms exist now, and the institutional grade outputs, audit trails, and the fact, I don't want to get too deep into the tech weeds, but using some of the Claude resources, MCP and others, that you can connect it to your FactSet, Capital IQ, PitchBook, SEC filings, yeah, and your family office likely, like a big percentage of you, is you're not using any of that. Imagine the power that you'll have, the excellence you'll have. And if you're an employee, an executive, oh my God, I am assuring you opportunities for higher level employment in the community. Yet, no matter where I go, Australia, Europe, US, Mexico, LATAM, it's a slow, your family offices are slow to adapt. Those that do, I don't care what anyone says, I don't care who it offends, they will, comparative to 99% of you, have an insurmountable advantage. Now, many of you, a little bit more institutional level family office, what's this love affair with Microsoft Copilot? It kind of sucks. So it's a comfort zone, but it's not an edge. It has limited scalability. Only 5% of the organizations that have piloted it actually scaled its use. It even states entertainment use only in their own classification, if you read the terms. More security risk than you think. You're surfacing sensitive files to anyone with access, assuming security is within the family office infrastructure. And really, it's a reskinned, weakened version of ChatGPT and a little bit of Anthropic. No, I just can't let go of it here either. The first point on performance issues I already noted. It is like it's a lobotomized, pardon my pronunciation, GPT. Poor memory, weak reasoning, and more constant hallucinations. And absolutely, look at what's there on screen. I don't need to read everything. A security risk. I don't know. I guess it's better than not doing anything at all, but you're not optimizing for sovereignty, for pricing, and for capability. Like, what's wrong with you? Like, that's not acceptable. So most people they ask AI questions. The smart ones make it compete. This is not the stage like my book talks about in my master classes. And you may want to call me if you're a member, like to go a deep dive into prompting and all this. But you have to learn how to master the publicly available frontier models. Become a master prompter. I'm going to share some prompts a little later within this presentation. Use meta prompting. That's what you need to be doing to sharpen every input. Understanding how to structure. We're going to get to some of the Claude MD and skills, and those are all going to be, lightly, we're going to go over that, be incredibly impactful. You need to understand Gemini, Grok, Anthropic's Claude, and OpenAI's ChatGPT. And if you're going to use ChatGPT, damn it, spend the $200, be more enterprise level, and please have access to the 5.5 with incredible codex capabilities. Otherwise, it really isn't that good. The same thing with Anthropic. It has such a suite of services. We're going to get to that in like 2 minutes. There's you gotta spend money to get the access to give you the edge. You have to know where some of the frontier models are better than some at others. And you have to know how to prompt, how to meta prompt, having used AI to help you structure a prompt to get the outcome that you want to get. If you type in a weak generic sentence, you get back slop and you complain. It happens to me. It can be frustrating. You have to learn how to prompt. And setting things up properly, especially in Anthropic Claude, it's a little bit of skill. It goes such a long, long way. And I have the frontier models battle. That does mean I have to go back and forth in prompting, getting even a better answer, running it then through Gemini, through Grok, coming back to ChatGPT, and then maybe using Claude. And 4.7 has been a little disappointing. 4.6 I switch over to. Eventually, when Mythos comes out, that may just blow the others for a time out of the water. Anthropic is such an incredible suite of services. Its core capabilities, its varying programs, aka LLMs, it's Claude code, people like me, 60-year-olds that are not tech savvy, easily creating apps. What do you think is going to happen to the future of software, software as a service, aka SaaS? And a lot of these companies that you so-called love in the family office world, that you don't control the data often, you pay a truckload of money, and often services where you don't really maybe need all that horsepower. Imagine the capability of creating, and imagine if you had a consultative relationship with a knowledgeable AI engineer, integration engineer, or a larger institutional family office with someone like that, that you onboard. Imagine the power that you'll have within your hands instantly. Just incredible. Claude code is amazing. Claude Cowork and the capability of using that, the design capabilities in the last 30, 40 days that come out with Claude, incredible, incredible, and so easy to use. I mentioned before, Dario on stage with Jamie Dimon talking about the 10 specialized finance agents, really Claude managed agents. We're going to get to more of that in a second, in action. And actually, let's just get right to it. So it just last month in April, Claude launched Cloud. We're going to get to some of the sovereign issues, but cloud hosted agents with persistent memory, no infrastructure for you to build, no servers to manage. Just define what you want the agent to do, and poof, it handles it and runs with it. And then, like I said, just a week and a half ago, in May, Jamie Dimon on stage, kind of revealing along with Anthropic, the 10 finance agents. So we're talking about now not just a singular agent, but a multi-agent orchestration going live. A lead agent now delegates specialists within the Anthropic platform. You're not building this out. Now you do have to kind of orchestrate and sync it. Let's not make that hard. And yeah, my books and masterclass go through that. And your experiences, which you're going to get your hands a little dirty and do this. This is incredible. Now, I may lack sovereignty. We're going to get to that in about 5 minutes. But as a first step from going from chat to doing things, this is it. This is the answer. So, I already mentioned this really in the last screen. It's like one agent versus an orchestrated team, just like with people. Our principal says, run diligence on this deal. A lead agent spins up the earnings reviewer, the model builder, the other agents I'm talking about, the valuation builder, simultaneously. And they work on shared files, assemble leads leading into the final package, traceable, auditable, and again, easily coordinated inside of things you're used to, Excel, PowerPoint, and Word. It's way more than a chatbot, which is why I said, and I was so generous with the 10%, it really is 1 or 2% of you are using the resources. Honestly, it's under 1%. What am I talking about? I'm being too nice. So imagine this on Anthropic Claude. I'm not saying quite on Open Claude and Sovereign. We're going to get to that. Your first agent may literally take 5 minutes. Okay, 15 or 20 minutes. Not months to build out internally on certain files, which again, if you have an AI engineer, maybe that is the way to go. And maybe you start easy, a low-hanging fruit, somewhat of a manual task. That's not too complicated. One agent, one task, 1 week. And then build the mindset, the compounding, the knowledge, and the capabilities coordinated as a team from there. Is that really that hard? Now, I kind of hinted at something called Claude Skills, really underlying it, Claude.md. No, nothing to do with a medical doctor. Your family office is operating system really in a single file. You have one markdown file telling Anthropic's Claude your investment criteria, your reporting standards, your compliance requirements, your decision frameworks, your logo, your coloring, your style, and It reads it before every new chat or project. No pre-prompting, retraining. That's a pain in the neck. You have that institutional knowledge that's persistent, compounding, and always on. And it's so easy to set up. And this is kind of what it looks like when AI knows how you and your family office really thinks. Anthropic is an incredible suite. Please use more than the free version, an antiquated version of Claude, and you're not even knowing how to chat and do the things I'm talking about here in terms of with their skills and Claude MD. They have an incredible, probably by far, OpenAI is probably number 2, but suite of services that are available to anyone that wants to do work. Now, although I do sometimes a little tough on Gemini, I'll give them a little bit of love. They have something called Notebook LM. It is great to run pitch decks through. By the way, now this also means it's more limited in more of its creative capabilities, but it just works with what you give it. It has zero hallucinations. It does do a comprehensive analysis. Here's what's cool about it. Kind of amazing. You have to experience it. Feed in that long PDF, that PowerPoint, that deck, and have it recreate the output as a podcast, even 2 different voices almost debating it. Well, not almost, it could actually do that. These are amazing 10, 15, 20-minute outputs, getting better and better. You could also do the more traditional format. Like, this is a quick way to go from PDFs and decks to knowing if you want to have your people expand to the next level in terms of searching it. So Gemini does shine on that. I didn't mention much Perplexity Computer. It's kind of unique. It's not quite its own frontier model. It uses a variety, technically, of 19 different models. Don't be misled by the word computer. No, it's not an actual hardware. They just, and this is relatively new again, about 30, 40 days. It's called Perplexity Computer. And it does go from traditional chat to autonomous agent internally, a little bit like what I described with Claude, but maybe a little bit more streamlined, but with less controls. And it does feel like you're executing from chat to execution, a task end to end. So it doesn't just advise, it really does act. I use it in a certain way, almost as a devil's advocate on certain deals, opportunities, and other things I look at. Within my books in the masterclass, we go into greater detail. Today is more of a briefer overview. It's not a great time for that. Now, I did promise I would come back to sovereign AI. This is going to be important. We're going to go through about 3 or 4 slides here, versus consumer, AKA frontier models. The frontier models are commercial, which is fine, for-profit enterprises, names that you know that I've already mentioned, like Anthropic's Claude, like OpenAI's ChatGPT, like Gemini, like Grok. They are the most powerful of the deeper reasoning models if you're using the higher level, and here's a big and, you know what you're doing. But there's some buts coming up. It's not your company. The data is stored in their cloud, and there are risks of changing terms, data breaches. Those companies get a subpoena against you, or simply for whatever reason, they elect to terminate you. Then like you have zero control. Even in an enterprise agreement, even if you're using it through AWS with Bedrock and getting some level of containment of your proprietary data, like it may not be 100% sure. And do you want to help with your proprietary data, maybe help the system get better, answering questions to your peers and competitors? Like, I don't know. So imagine sovereign. Imagine you have the hardware, which is going to take some money. And in today's days, getting a Mac Studio, multiple Mac Minis, things like I have, you're going to have to show some patience. But in the meantime, of course, you're going to go to OpenAI and Claude and use some of the managed agents. And again, OpenAI has some variations of that, just maybe not quite as intuitive as the way that Anthropic's Claude did it. But that's going to be a better first step for many of you. But eventually, I do think, at least for part of what you do, you're going to want sovereignty. Maybe it's a DGX Spark. You're going to need to have the hardware to use programs like Ollama and Hugging Face to download open weight models, from Kimi to GLM to DeepSeek to Gemma to Llama. I mean, technically, there's like millions of them. And there's nuances to each, not the day and time to go into it. But that's on your hardware. That doesn't touch the cloud. So again, I don't want to get too deep in this. How you likely want to structure it is it's a combination. You're going to probably want to properly AWS, Bedrock, somewhat contain some of the frontier models for deeper reasoning and some level of orchestration. But the execution of a lot of this, you could do also more cost effectively with the open weight models on your proprietary hardware. Remember, with sovereign AI, you cannot be canceled, you can't be deplatformed or locked out of your own intelligence. So yes, I do believe you need to eventually learning how to control your future and understand open weight models, as they're called, compares to more closed, or AKA what some would call frontier models. Again, I want the data to stay yours, your models to answer to you, and no vendor can reprice you. We didn't even mention that. Throttle or shut you off. In reality, you start with frontier, you master it. Anthropic has an amazing suite of services. You then integrate the proper hardware, open weight models, learning how to build using a Pi, but you can also do OpenClaw and Hermes, some of your own more proprietary, more execution level, and begin to have more control and sovereignty. That's like the 1 minute pitch and basically kind of syncing it together. So maybe you call that deeper reasoning thinking with theirs, but runs on yours. That would be maybe a simple way to look at it. You're borrowing, like this slide says, their intelligence, but build on your own. Now, if you got the internal capability working with things like Pi, or simply, I think OpenClaw has gotten such a bad name. It's so powerful and in some ways so frustrating. And Hermes, a competitor, but also could coordinate and sync with OpenClaw. But this gets to a little bit more advanced, really becoming sovereign, agentic, maybe some level of co-orchestration, definitely execution, using more of these open weight models and control, complete control. And like, why have a family office? The whole thing about a family office is privacy, control, and customization. This helps to amplify that and give you the incredible resources. When you ask me and get the PowerPoint, technically a link that's digital online, so it's even easier, like you'll see all 11 or 12 of these within case studies. I'm going to breeze through like 2 or 3 of them. Like, it's so easy, even with the Claude managed agents, to set up, again, potentially 24/7, tie into what you want to tie in, and easily get, like, every morning, whatever, 4 a.m., 5 a.m., 6 a.m., because there's markets all around the world. There's risk happening all around the world. There's macro movements, news. Knowing how to set that up and get those resources at your fingertips. Now, I could talk to you how to set up Sovereign, talking through it to something like Telegram and things like that. And my book goes into that. That's, again, we could do this for hours and hours and hours. We're trying to keep this about 1 hour, which for me is probably impossible, but we'll try. Oh, y'all know I like my geopolitics. So yeah, like before, like, what do? You read the Financial Times, you hope your advisors connect the dots, but AI could monitor how you structure it, geopolitical developments, mapping exposure, thinking about things like Taiwan tension, what Trump is doing in China now, the CEOs that were there, deals to be made, opportunities, risk. These are all things that you could lock into more logically with the resources that you use and have 24/7 access. You could definitely train the rising gen so much better. One, I've created mission statements, vision statements, constitutions. Yes, I sometimes take the final 10% to one of the thought leaders that I know. But honestly, I don't need to pay them. I'm just being honest, 40, 50, 60, 70K, when I could kind of do it on my own, comparative to most of them, much faster, likely better. But sure, I had them touch up a little bit some of the documents, probably within a year or two, that won't even be needed. What I'm doing in legal, the money that I'm saving, accounting's been a little more complicated. The IRC here in the US, Internal Revenue Code, is so big. Context windows is some of the frontier. I could download Kimi, open weight at the highest level, run the IRC through that, break it out into several documents in Frontier. So I'm going to start to do more tax aggressive strategies with it. But for legal, it's been incredible for my family governance and learning how to set up. Again, I mentioned in Claude, kind of the skills in the Claude MD, and give it context and institutional memory and knowing how to prompt. So again, what did I state earlier? It's like I'm surrounded by like 2, 10, 100 Einsteins. It sometimes gets overwhelming. If you know what you're doing now, it's an incredibly powerful resource. That's more of a legal example. I already mentioned that. Setting up your family knowledge. Initially, that's a bit of it's annoying. But imagine what I could do with systems, standard operating procedures, effectively internal benchmarking and family office best practices, what I may have had written down in the past, stored, maybe used Loom for video. All of it is so much easier now. You just have to learn how to do it. Now, I did mention this before. Technically, Jamie Dimon did it. I did it hundreds of times. Like, create your own custom app, like with a little bit of thought, easily in one afternoon. Imagine if you did have some developer skills or internal or even external, but close consultative AI integration, it could be even more powerful. You are likely not using the full resources that are available in current SaaS platforms that, by the way, you don't own and control it. They could change terms, reprice after the contract. There's a variety of things that could go wrong, the same things that I mentioned with Frontier AI. And now I want you to have privacy. I want you to have control to understand what you're using. You may not need the full quote unquote horsepower, and you could save a lot of money. And the fact that you're doing these things yourself, you're learning how to build them, goes back to what I said about mindset and compounding. It's going to be very, very powerful. I already mentioned this one about next-gen education. Well, this is a little different. This is more next-gen education. Oh my God, this is where AI can really shine. You're customizing areas of knowledge and capability from video to written and customized to the age and maybe capability of your rising gen. And this is all the resources that are available. Practically anything, like I said, that I could look at a laptop and type in a screen, AI just makes it better and faster and more automated. Rather bluntly, if it's somewhat knowledge work, let's just face reality of what it is. Again, I'm going to hit this now for the 10th time. You could start today with compounding your knowledge. I'm going to give you a tip. Like, you probably don't need a consultant, but you might need 72 hours. What do I mean with that? Here's the tip. Pick a block of 3 days when maybe you're a little extra diverse and busy. Why don't you write down, whether it's type or literally write, exactly here's the task, here's the goal, and here's what I'm doing, or here's where I am today in terms of doing it. A little bit project management like. And then feed that, but you gotta know how to prompt through the highest level of deep reasoning. And how could I do this better and faster? Take that to another level, spend a little bit of money on granola. I don't mean the cereal, but a good granola is pretty darn good. One of my weaknesses with blueberries. I mean granola, the technology. It's like a little clip on here. It basically records, if you want, if you're on speaker, your conversations, your one-on-one meetings, you at a conference. And a little bit, even if you talk some things to yourself and do that a little extra for granola's benefit, it's going to help to make you better and better. It really is going to feel, if you know what you're doing and how to prompt, like you have a series of like Peter Druckers at your fingertips. Come on, Peter Drucker is like my hero. At the end of the day, family office practice management is probably the thing that gets me most excited. Like you could do this now. It's just right there for you. So here's one of the kind of thinking on a prompt. I hinted at it earlier. Maybe stop asking AI just to validate you. Why don't you ask it to break you? Kind of a devil's advocate mode. But you have to set up the prompt in 4 dimensions of attack, assumptions, execution, and roughly here's kind of an example of that if you could see the screen. And again, just ask me, email or DM me for the presentation, and with no questions asked, you'll just get it. So you are a brilliant, ruthless critic. Your only job is to destroy my idea, not politely, not constructively. Find every crack. Now you have to mention your idea, plan, and decision. So you describe it. You mention, like I say here, you're attacking it across 4 dimensions. Those are outlined. You can copy and paste this. I'm okay with that. I do want to give you, and there's like so many of these. And with meta prompting, this is all just getting easier and easier. The Socratic mode, a Socrates, stop asking AI for answers, make it teach you. So here's another prompt, even more straightforward, that you could copy and paste. If you don't know how to prompt, your conversations with the AI are going to be relatively limited. It's getting easier with meta prompting, but there's a little bit of a skill behind that. I did mention the Claude MD and skills, which would be valuable from Anthropic. There's other variations in OpenAI, but Claude just makes it so streamlined. All things you learn, if you remember, in my books in Masterclass. I'm not going to bore you with some of this. When you get the presentation, you'll see it. But the deal that Anthropic made with SpaceX, Elon, for more compute, so good for Anthropic and great for SpaceX too, kind of a win-win. Some of the other topics we already discussed. Like, you have to think future forward. The family office was built thinking the last century, like 26 years ago, to administer complexity. The one built now, really since 3.5 years ago, kind of the launch of AI or LLMs as we know it, commands intelligence, anticipating threats before they surface and surfacing opportunities. Take a little bit of a step back for a minute. At my 4 days in Palm Beach, I went to the ocean, broke a little bit of a law, taken some of the sand, brought it back to the event. And I mentioned in my hand, I'm effectively holding sand. Sand, we converted with chips into intelligence. Just think of what was on this earth billions of years ago. Sunshine, metals, sand, and inevitably oil. The 4 things that would become the backbone of technology and AI that we're doing today. And they were there billions of years ago. We are really living through a very, very impactful and interesting and scary to some degree, I understand, point in history. So you need to protect your generational wealth. And isn't having the sand into intelligence, generational intelligence, a way to help at minimal augment your current incredible resources, your capabilities? Okay, I did mention I would come back to this. So again, you're just going to ask me for this digital PowerPoint, and I'm going to give it to you. DM or email me. And if you run with this, you're absolutely going to exponentially be where you are now. I don't care if you're 16 years old, you're an entrepreneur, you're a successful entrepreneur, you're a decabillionaire family office principal, you're a rising gen, and for sure, if you're an executive in a knowledge-based work of finance, legal, and accounting in those industries or the family office, no question, it's going to be of value. You got to show me some initiative. And again, I've been very disappointed as I travel and speak around the world. Last year, before I closed it up and only for my members, I did some things on my pretty incredible, at that time, just one book. And among 40,000 people in my database, only about like 37 requested it. That's it. Now, it's been updated like 5 times since then. The joke is you write a book on AI. At this point, I'm effectively updating it about every 3 weeks. It is incredible. And I have 2 that I have to manage. Those are exclusively only for my members, period. Go to angelorobles.com and become a member. So here's what I'm getting to. We're not even at Memorial Day here in the US. We're like early to early mid-May, closer to mid-May. Use this. Jump into my membership. Get my books. Get some kind of one-on-ones flowing with me. As a member, you're then invited to my masterclass, which is immersive and in person over 2 days in New York. And I have incredible instructors along with me. I don't want it to be one voice. You bring your computer, we got things to do. That's June 23rd and 24th in New York. I'll probably do a dinner the night before, hang out the next day. Maybe there's some one-on-ones with you. So it may, in theory, really stretch over for some of you 4 days. I love it. I got passion for it. It's what I want to do for you. So what did I say earlier? You get this, you get my books, you get me, you get the masterclass. We're barely officially by like a day or 2 into the summer. By July 4th, where are you going to be compared to where you are now? You just have to show me you have some level of utility or skill to utility capability, gumption, resiliency to want to push forward and learn this. And then you're putting it to work that like early July, still early in the summer, I'm going to do another masterclass. Maybe you attend it again because sometimes the second time you pick up nuances you didn't. I'm going to do that in August. You're heading into the end of the summer. You may be miles ahead, including by mindset and compounding with your tech and more importantly, your AI capabilities, going from chat, which is incredibly important, but you don't know how to prompt right now, into actually doing things. And I gave you incredible guidance around Anthropic Suite, Claude agents, the 10 Wall Street busters. That's kind of what they are. And then inevitably going into building your own. Like by the end of the summer, like who's going to catch up with you? Who? Now, sure, what I do is exclusive. I don't look for that room to be big. It's kind of a good sized boardroom. It's relatively intimate. And yes, my membership dues for all you get for the year are 10,000. Like it's not an inconsequential number, but it's a very important one for you to go to another level. So this one I will read off a little bit to kind of sink in. My private community, SFO Continuity, really is a private operating platform for resilient, sovereign, more AI augmented, at least, if not totally enabled family offices built to endure the generations. Why? My private community is called SFO Continuity. We help families move beyond isolated decision-making, fragmented advisor input, and really casual and pretty weak AI experimentation into peer-tested intelligence. I do love me first principles, the architecture, and sovereign AI implementation, which is year-round continuity. So I think this is the final slide. I'm going to say some comments that I think could be important. On this slide is obviously my name for newer people. Welcome and thank you. A little bit of some of my books, which all for one are exclusively dedicated to my members only. And again, my website is simply angelorobles.com. That date of the masterclass is right around the corner. It's June 23rd and 24th. Listen to everything that I said about right now, about the books, about the access, about the masterclass. You could be incredible heading into this weekend, leading into the masterclass. Oh my God. Imagine after it, even heading into July 4th, what a level you're going to be at. And then you still have 2 more months of the summer to be like unstoppable heading into September. So I'm going to get off the presentation format now and come back and be a little more eyeball to eyeball for lack of a better word, with many of you. Let me take this off. Okay, here I am. That was a pretty long, by digital standards. We all tend to lose a little bit of focus and attention. Apparently, unlike AI and AI agents, these 168-hour, when they don't break down, sometimes they do, machines. So you all know I'm very passionate about this. I've been in the family office community for a long, long time. I'm 60 years old. I'm the original founder and near multi-decade CEO at Family Office Association. I sold it, retired, have a holding company, have a family office, very active allocator, almost, it feels like almost the holding picks and shovels in AI, extremely active in that. Keep my platforms on socials, which I love, at Family Office on X and mainly YouTube, my LinkedIn, which has grown quite a bit in the last year or two. I appreciate all of you. Facebook, maybe one day I'll give attention to. Oh, come on, it's too old of a platform. And I occasionally do dabble in TikTok. Those are interesting. You'll be surprised, though, who's creating family offices. I did help one very successful influencer who joined and then needed consultative work effectively on creating a non-US centric family office. But I don't want to get too far off track. Like, I've been in this community a long, long time. I'm blunt, I'm bold, I'm direct. I'm not everyone's cup of tea. I know that already. It's a really, really exciting time. And really, to me, and my love, like I hinted earlier, my love is I've been a devotee for decades of Peter Drucker. I love Jim Collins, practice management and operations. Like, that's my passion. Going into an entrepreneur that wants to create a family office and wants excellence, or helping a current family office go from what could be mediocrity or good to excellent. If you're going to have a family office, like, you have to be great. Would you agree with that? You got to strive for that. You have to understand what the purpose is, what the goals are, what is the best way for us to be effective, to a somewhat lesser degree efficient in terms of getting to those goals. How do we quantify those goals? Not everything in the family office is so quantifiable. And that's the complexity and my love and passion effectively for the community. To me, that makes it exciting. It is a combination of quote unquote art and science. So the areas that I talk about, and by the way, family offices, single, are the ultimate in privacy, control, and customization. The three biggest factors to a successful family office are still people, number one. Definitely technologies, number two. And yes, systems, but people and technology are creating the systems, changing the dynamics of standard operating procedure, benchmarking, and best practices. So that's becoming like a little bit less so to a degree. And actually, too many systems is a bottleneck and not necessarily good. But now, boy, I'm really in my Peter Drucker mode here. These are really, really exciting times. AI is horizontal into everything that I mentioned, and gives you the opportunity to be more effective and efficient. If Peter Drucker were active today and didn't pass away 15 or so years ago, no question, he would have been just like the two 80-plus-year-olds, the legends in private equity that I mentioned earlier, that use AI 2 hours a day, and they're the ones that least need it. And yet you're saying, no, like, I'm smart, I'm better. It's not as good as me. You don't know how to use it. You're doing one sentence prompts. It's like embarrassing. Like, come on. Learn how to chat and then learn how to have it do things which it could do right now. And some of those resources I gave to you, especially with some of the Anthropic suite, here in this video and presentation. Just send me an email, angelo@angelorobles.com, or DM me on one of the socials, and I'll give it to you. But yeah, if you want to go to the next level, of course, you have to go to angelorobles.com, and you got to become a member. I did some updates to the website. Take a look at the homepage. The AI page is now different. My marquee events, even for Palm Beach 2027, we're going to have 4 days. That's already up on the site. If you're a member, like, you get it all. And no, for those of you, like Angelo only talks about AI and AI native family offices. If I did, and I'm incredible at that, that's an incredibly valuable service. But Please don't limit me into just that. I've been doing this for too long and have too many desires in the family office world. Who else is talking about geopolitics in the family office community the way I do? The depth of macroeconomics, bluntly talking good and bad about Trump, about what's going on in the world. The work that even I do, having a whole co and family office on dynamic structures, lender versus IRS, why I did it this way, why I chose Wyoming, why a satellite family office, why offshore trust. Come on, family dynamics, I'm going through them too. All these things are a part of what makes family offices unique in science and art. I'm not saying I have all the answers. I despise the word expert. At the end of the day, we're all white belts. Be constantly learning. That's what's going to be valuable. Just AI gives us the resources, yes, to do more with less, better, and faster. Mastering those tools, being gainfully employed, and having the resources, the skills that become the utility that you convert into economic advantage for you. And that's what you get being a part of my community. I'm sorry, in the family office world, I just don't have yet a number two on the AI front who's given me some competition. I want it. I work better with a lion chasing me. And there is talented people out there. And by the way, a lot of your current tech people in the family office world, boy, this will make me popular. You're joking. Their AI knowledge is often embarrassing. They're basically tied into existing platforms almost as reselling agents. The more complexity, the better it is for them to help consult and work with you. That's not to say that some of the existing platforms aren't good. A lot of them is AI lipstick on a pig, not really native and ingrained, because it would take a lot of effort, work, money for them to do that. Like, I'm sorry, I know I could be a little critical about the industry sometimes, and having been in it for 20 plus years, hopefully I've earned that right, and coming at it with a level of intellectual rigor and living through it and making the mistakes. I may make them more than anyone else in the industry. I'd like to hope I'm an open book about them, the money that I spent, the time that I wasted, but some of the exponential areas in learning and capability that I picked up along the way are just incredibly exciting to me, but bringing me back to practice management and operations. So there is someone I did mention yesterday that I've been reading on LinkedIn. I was a guest when I was kind of transitioning from Family Office Association to my current endeavor back a couple of years ago. Brian Adams, the recruiter, but he's more than that. Brian C. Adams on LinkedIn. He's been really posting, and I don't even think he likes me that much, but he's been really posting some really interesting content, especially around high functioning family offices, and getting incredible feedback from an incredible list of people that I've also known for a number of years. So I'm going to do more earlier this upcoming week and giving him a shout out for sure on the high functioning family office. And AI is ingrained horizontally to a part of that, but I do go back a little bit to people. You want to know one thing that an incredible family office always does? Well, how about this? They hire brilliantly. Superstars are actually underrated. Just like in an American sport, baseball, the MLB. The average human maybe throws a baseball 60 miles an hour. A pitcher that is nowhere near a professional, but imagine throwing it 80. But if they play in the MLB, oh, come on, they'll get destroyed. So one pitcher who throws 100 miles an hour and doesn't blow out his arm and relatively could throw strikes, like that's worth 100, 200, 300. Mediocrity of pitchers that throw 80. So yes, your skills have a utility, your capability, your ethics, you're working within a team and being additive. And absolutely, you need to be compensated properly. And some family offices, you're too damn cheap. You want excellence, but you kind of hire and pay for mediocrity. So like, what do you expect? You deserve effectively what you get. Pay your people properly. So executives, of course, I'm standing up for you. So these are all exciting topics. There are some really talented people that write and do videos about it in the community. I enjoy their content too. I learn from it. I've been a guest on some of their platforms. They've been a guest on some of mine. Just this morning, personally, I caught up with my friend Ron Diamond. And yeah, sometimes with Ron, I could get on him a little bit on my comments on LinkedIn because I have some very different perspectives in multiple things, but he's a great guy, wonderful ethics, a creative thinker, and someone that I learned from. And others, my friend Jason Mott and others, all people that I also will get into disagreements with. I guess I'm deemed to be a little combative, so to speak. I don't mean it to be that way. I just feel let's stop kissing butt. Let's stop being so vanilla. I'm not saying I have all the answers, but let's put the topics on the table and just get directly to them. And I am, I think, going to come very prepared, which is why I do active debates even in my programs. I look to challenge the other side. And I'm always down if one of you want to invite me on your LinkedIn, your live or platform for, let's go with the word of debate, like let's do it. And again, maybe I win, maybe I lose, but for sure, I want to learn. And that's what gets valuable to me. So I went off on a little bit of a tangent here, different than my AI native family office that we led and showed the PowerPoint. But I guess I care more about this than getting out there in the beautiful sunshine and getting, today's going to be a 2-hour exercise day. So I got to earn that cigar today. So everyone, again, if you want the digital PowerPoint, which is easy and beautiful, you just have to DM or email me, Angelo at angelorobles.com. It's so easy. And if you want more, if you want to be incredible by this early summer and unstoppable by the end of the summer, you join. You go to angelorobles.com. You stop hesitating. We have incredible, incredible families and peers. That alone, forget my books, forget the masterclass, forget Vienna, Mexico City, LA, New York, Greenwich, Palm Beach, and other locations. Oh, they do sound fun. Miami. God, we have a lot of fun. It's a wonderful, wonderful, amazing group of peers that add so much value. You also get my family office playbook, 850 questions. That's like a 400-page digital book that I wrote off my experiences on kind of best practices and first principles and 850 things across all domains in the family office world that you need to be thinking about. I'm in a hyper creative mode, lots of private books, lots of, I hope, incredible content, debatable. You could get back and forth with me on that. A couple of you sent me text or comments. Thank you. I appreciate it. I know I'm taking up some of your Saturday. If you're live, I hope you enjoyed it. I always want to be close, my ear to the grindstone of the community. I have a lot to learn from many of you. I loved meeting so many of you in LA. It was really an incredible experience, including some of the lunches that I hosted, some incredible family offices and some guest SFOs that I never knew. One of them already moved forward as a member, so I appreciate you. You got your private books. I'll hopefully see you at the masterclass, and we have a lot of incredible things coming up. It's all on angelorobles.com. You need to jump in and be a member, and that's when I really want to take it with you. And to my masterclass, bring parts of the family, bring Rising Gen. Multiple people did last year. Bring team members. I'll let you know if it's too much. Right now, we have a little extra capacity. Maybe I could get a little bit of a bigger boardroom if we wanted to get bigger, but I don't really want to have it too big. At most 18 or 20. Like the whole thing, I'm not doing this for scale. I do it for intimacy. So you're bringing your computer, you're learning, and you're getting hands-on instruction from incredible. I am so fortunate to have incredible instructors. They're the best. So everyone, go to angelorobles.com. I appreciate you this weekend. I hope, no one officially told me, that finally the PowerPoint presentation worked. So I don't have to do this again. Come on, I got the high-functioning family office stuff coming up, I hope, Monday. So that will have a little bit of AI weave through it, but we're going to go a little bit more hardcore into that deeper Peter Drucker-like thinking, which is really my true love in the family office world. Thank you all so much.